So I'll get right into it. It's, what is down payment assistance? And this is programs, and I'll just read the bullet points here. It says the purpose of the down payment assistance is to reduce the amount of money home buyers need to save for a down payment. So some programs require that you put 3% down. Some programs may require a little bit more. And then other programs may completely finance the entire purchase price. But that does not mean that you're not going to come into the closing with no money at all. I mean, it just means that the purchase price will be financed 100% of it anyways, but then you're still responsible for closing costs and prepaids and all that good stuff that goes along with the loans, because the cost to do a loan isn't necessarily free. There are, some expenses that go along with it that are incurred that are passed on to the buyer. Now, what's nice about the down payment assistance is that it helps with not just only the closing costs, but it also could help with if you potentially need down payment assistance, if you need to put a down payment down, it could also help you with bridging the gap there as well too. And a lot of resources are out there that some of us may be aware of, some of us may not be aware of. But as you'll see in future slides in this presentation, you'll see the different programs, or you hear about different programs that are out there. But I will let you know the importance of working with specialized loan officers or people who are experienced in these areas to help you navigate through those and be able to also share with you the resources that we're aware of that could potentially help you reduce your cost in purchasing a home. So did I lose my slide? All right, so I'll go to bullet point number 2. And again, it provides affordable homeownership opportunities to those that may have a pretty hard time trying to just gather up, $3,000, $5,000. Sometimes it warrants $10,000. As we all know, the prices in Dallas-Fort Worth homes aren't necessarily cheap anymore. Not that they were really cheap before, but they're much less expensive than what they are today. So what that means that since the banks go based off a percentage of purchase price on what is required for a down payment, then that just means the higher the price, the more money you're going to need. So this down payment assistance, again, the ones that are out there will help bridge that gap, because you may be credit ready, you may be job ready as well too, meaning that you make enough to pay for a certain amount a month for a home. But then there's also that third element that some people don't necessarily factor in or get sticker shocked on, and that's the money you need for closing, or the money you need for down payment, because depending on who you work with, it needs, they'll disclose that to you right up front, or sometimes when it is disclosed to you, you get a little too excited. We're excited that we at least got past the first stage, but not necessarily take into account the second and third stages. Well, I should say the second stage on that is that, now that I'm pre-qualified, what kind of investment do I need to make, and how much money should I have set aside, right? And then once those numbers are revealed, you may realize, okay, maybe I need to take a little bit of a step back, right? Or I need to go out and find some assistance to help me bridge that gap for the money that eventually I will need for closing or for down payment. And some of it, I'm going to tell you right now, is probably going to be a little bit of your own due diligence. Most municipalities, like you'll hear today from the city of Dallas, have down payment assistance programs that you could potentially qualify for. or internally, some banks will also have some down payment assistance that you may qualify for. On the third bullet point where it says, can it be a grant or a loan? And it could be either or. So this is the other part that you definitely need to ask a lot of questions around. Is the money that's being utilized for my down payments assistance, am I going to have to pay that back, or is it something that's forgiven over time? And most down payment assistance programs, not all, but most, do offer an opportunity for it to be forgiven over a period of time, and it could be over 5 years, or it could be over 10 years, and I've seen it up to 15 years. So that tends to be the most common. So you'll when you do look into it, those are important questions to ask, because again, if you go into the home, you've been approved for down payment assistance, you utilize it, but then if there's a lien against your property, you eventually want to sell it, you need to find out whether the down payment assistance either has been forgiven over the period of time, or you're going to have to pay most of that back, or if not all of it. All right, and so I'm on the slide number 4. I'm looking at one of the things, the title of this one, it says why it matters. And again, I may have touched on this a little bit already, but 53% of renters, this is a statistic that I think is very eye-opening, 53% of the renters say that saving for a down payment is their biggest obstacle to owning a home. And I would have to agree with that, and just based on my experience and the people that I've worked with, because just this year alone, I've been able to help close to 15 people get into a home with down payment assistance that otherwise would not have had that opportunity. Year to date, I'm up to actually, in the DFW area, just the DFW area alone, up to $206,000 in down payment assistance that we've been able to help clients receive. And again, majority of those clients, and I would say 99% of them, would have not been able to get into the home without the down payment assistance program. So if that is your obstacle, this is definitely one of the routes you'd want to go to make sure that, again, that second base is covered and not just the first part with just getting your credit and your income approved. The second bullet point says, not knowing about DPA programs may mean you'll wait longer than necessary to buy a home. And that's very true as well, too, because some of those individuals that I was able to help have been waiting for about a year or 2 years and had no idea that these programs were out there, which again stresses the point that it's very important you work with somebody who works with these programs, who know these programs. And typically in the title of loan, you will see that when it comes to a mortgage loan originator. You'll either see the community specialist or you see a CRA loan originator. Those are the individuals you want to talk to if you want to dig in further on these DPA programs. And then it also states here, with low interest rates and stable housing market, buying sooner may be favorable. And that is so true. Today, the affordability is much greater than it was last year compared to this time. And just for the fact alone that the interest rates are much more favorable to the consumer. And what that does is it allows you to afford a little bit more, have your payments be a little bit less, and put you probably in a much better position than if interest rates were higher. And again, if you can couple that with a program that's out there today, specifically like a down payment assistance program, you get a lower interest rate, you put yourself in a great equity position. It's a win-win all the way around, and it's also a great win for us because it gives us an opportunity to put somebody who did not or was not able to get into a home get into a home finally, and also be able to meet the needs of their family. And we all know the benefits that this will have to not just the individual who's buying the house, but to the family overall. It just really strengthens and makes the communities that much stronger. And also, did you know in many cities, 20 to 50% of renters would be eligible for DPA. So that to me is like one of the biggest crimes of today is a lot of us don't know that we're eligible for down payment assistance because I think we get either too emotionally wrapped up in the search for a home. You deal with individuals, and I think this is the biggest part, but you deal with individuals who don't have the experience in working with down payment assistance. So I hate to say it, but they could be slightly discouraged or discouraged completely from going after a down payment assistance program. So it is really up to you to do and this is, you probably, if you've been part of other sessions, you probably have heard this, but this is why it's up to you to go and shop around, right? Because not every place is going to offer the same opportunities. Not every place is going to be approved to use all programs. It may be approved for one, but may not be approved for another. So this is the importance, I think, behind and not behind shopping around. It's not just to see if you can get a better deal on closing costs or interest rate, but also to determine which program is going to be the best fit for me based on the programs that are approved through the lenders I'm going to try to work with, right? And then you just compare, and after your comparison, you determine which route you determine to go. So with that, this is the part where I transfer over to Megan.
Thank you so much, Pedro. That was some really valuable information to get this conversation going about down payment assistance and the importance of using these programs. As he mentioned, my name is Megan Dixon. I am a community mortgage specialist with BB&T, now Truist Bank. It's also a CRA lender role. So I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, low to moderate income families, and am an approved lender for the programs that we'll be discussing today. So if we can pull up the first bullet point, we will talk about one of the programs available through the state. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so through the state, there's a program called Texas State Affordable Housing Corporation, or TSHAC for short. And this program offers a couple of different ones. There is one called Home Sweet Texas Home Loan Program, and it's for Texas home buyers with low and moderate incomes. And then they have a program called Homes for Texas Heroes. And this is available for specific industries like teachers, firefighters, EMS personnel, police, correctional officers, and veterans. And as Pedro mentioned, some of these may be required to pay back, and some of them may be a true lien. So they do have a couple of different options. There is up to 5% of the loan amount available in assistance, and the assistance levels are tiered, and each tier has its own set of interest rates. The state sets its own interest rates, and it has their own set of fees. If you are in any of those industries that I mentioned, then TSHAC waives the fees for the Texas Heroes program. Let's see here. And so there are down payment assistance available as a grant that never needs to be repaid. And there's also options that are a forgivable second lien, meaning after you live in the property for a certain period of time, then that loan is forgiven. There is a program offered through the county, Dallas County, called the Dallas UpCap program. And this is available with certain participating cities in Dallas County, and it offers up to $7,500 that can be used for down payment, closing cost, and prepaid cost available to first-time home buyers. And this is a deferred payment loan. It's available in the following cities: Balch Springs, Cedar Hill, Cockrell Hill, Capel, Duncanville, Farmers Branch, Glen Heights, Hutchins, Lancaster, Saxe, Seagoville, and Wilmer. And this particular program is based on family size, and they will adhere to those income limits set forth by HUD. Okay, and then there's also programs available through different cities. For example, the city of Dallas has a program called DHAP, and Ms. Tammy is going to get into the details of that program here in a bit. Okay, next please. Okay, and there's also nonprofit agencies like Dallas Habitat that offer their own type of program to help first-time home buyers. They do offer a 0% mortgage through their own financing part of their organization. Okay, next. Okay, and then different lenders and banks offer their own programs. Pedro mentioned that his company offers one. We offer one as well that is 3% of the sales price of the home up to $4,000, and it is forgiven at closing. It never has to be repaid. And we also offer a 1% lender credit program for new construction homes that are built in certain census tract areas. And that can be used to help with closing costs. It can be used for a lower interest rate, just whichever would suit your needs best. And there's other programs like the Federal Home Loan Bank, which we are a participating partner in. They offer up to $5,000 for their first-time homebuyer program. And they offer up to $7,500 for their Community Partners program, the same industries that I listed before. And the great thing about their program is that you don't have to necessarily be a nurse or a teacher to be eligible for that. There's other, if you're working in any capacity in the healthcare industry or the education field or first responders, then you would be eligible for their Community Partners program. And then there's also a veterans program, which offers up to $7,500. And there's a returning veterans program, which offers up to $10,000. It's anyone who has been in active combat and has returned. Okay. And also the LIFT program, that is another program through an organization that offers down payment assistance as well. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so how do we qualify? So the first step is you want to be able to talk to an organization or a loan officer who specializes in these programs. So Pedro and myself are some prime examples of loan officers who have extensive experience utilizing these programs. And the reason why we suggest that is because these programs are very specific with their rules and regulations, and they are ever changing. So you want to make sure that you are working with somebody knowledgeable, and they also have to be approved. Not just anybody can offer these programs. And certified housing counseling agencies. Dallas Habitat is a housing counseling agency certified by HUD, and they can discuss the programs with you as well. Okay, and each program is different. So you want to make sure that you are finding out which program is going to best fit your needs. And most of the programs, not all of them, are designed for first-time buyers. And as we mentioned, there are special programs for industry specific. You have your veterans, you have first responders, like police, fire, things like that. And then of course, teachers and healthcare professionals. And income limits vary. Some of these programs, they go by whoever is on the loan application. So if you've got, mom and dad, and maybe you've got grandma living in the home, well, if only, mom is on the loan, then we're only looking at mom's income to qualify for these programs. Some of the programs, they do require household income to be considered. Okay, and most programs, I don't really know too many that don't, but most programs require the buyers to complete a home buyer education course. And that's another service offered by Dallas Habitat. They offer an extensive array of education pieces. And as I mentioned before, they are HUD certified. And most of these programs require that the education course that you take, it has to be HUD certified. There are certain criteria that HUD sets forth to ensure that these classes are eligible for these programs. Okay.
Thank you, Megan. I think we're now over to Tammy.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tammy Southall. I am with the City of Dallas Housing and Neighborhood Revitalization Department. I also manage the Homebuyer Assistance Program for the City of Dallas. This program, just to give you a little history, it's been in existence for nearly 29 years, and it has served nearly 8,000 families in getting into homes. We provide assistance with down payment and closing costs. I'm sorry, you can go ahead and show the slide. The assistance can be applied to towards principal reduction, down payment, and closing costs. It's an income-based program. It's based on household size and household income. Home buyers must be at or below 80% of the area median income. The amount of assistance that we provide is based on need and is determined by our program guidelines. One of the guidelines, of course, the property has to be located in the city limits of Dallas. Now, the amount of assistance that we do provide, it depends on where you purchase in the city, but overall, you can get access up to $60,000 in assistance. Our assistance that we do provide, it is a soft second lien, a forgivable loan, and it is forgiven. There's no interest rate on it. There's no monthly payments on it, and it is forgiven on an annual basis. The forgiveness period of it is based on the affordability period, which is the residency terms of the loan. Of course, with this program, you have to live in it as your primary residence. The forgiveness period could be either 5, 10, or 15 years, and that's determined by the amount of assistance that you receive. We have information available. Our website there is listed, dallashousingpolicy.com. There are steps on the site that take you to how to get started in the program. It is open to, you don't necessarily have to be a first-time home buyer for this program. So you just go to our website there, follow the steps for to get started, or you can call us at area code 214-670-3644 for more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tammy, Megan, and Pedro. We really appreciate all of the information that you shared with us. We have time for a few really quick questions. And so we'll just have some panel questions, and I'll ask them really quickly. The first is, how much assistance can buyers receive?
So it really depends on the program. So you want to be sure you have that conversation with your loan officer. As Tammy mentioned, their program is based on need, and other programs, it's a certain percentage. So it's really not a set answer. It's dependent upon loan program and what their guidelines are.
Okay, fantastic. And how can assistance be applied?
It's going to be applied towards closing costs, prepaids, and some programs will even allow you to apply it towards your down payment. And it gets even better, depending on how the amount that you receive can also be applied towards your principal balance. I will mention that just because you're getting down payment assistance and you are getting, let's just say, 100% financing, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have to invest into the transaction. There are probably four things that you'll need to invest in prior to getting to closing that you're not going to be able to utilize the down payment assistance program with, or the financing from the bank. And of course, that would be your earnest money, your home inspection, your appraisal fee, and then also your first year of homeowners insurance. So don't let that, don't misunderstand that the down payment assistance will be applied towards those things. Unfortunately, those are not. Those are upfront costs, things that you'll have to pay for prior to getting to closing.